Hi all. Think I'm live. Um, so my name is Faizan. I'm an engineering manager at Keep Trucking. Um, Today I'm going to talk about if it's possible to foster a work culture where diversity and inclusion become transparent. I want to start with what motivated this train of thought. So we recently had a survey at Keep Trucking, asking our teams a bunch of questions on a bunch of different themes. And there was this particular D&I question that was part of that survey. And my team's overall response was a little neutral and not the overwhelmingly positive response that I expected. And since we pride ourselves on a culture of diversity and inclusion, I felt like I had to learn more and find a way to improve on this. So I want to talk about a few key terms that are relevant to this talk before really jumping in. The first is diversity and what it means to us. There are some obvious aspects like gender, race, religion, and sexual orientation. But there's a lot more to it. There's employment background, educational background, cultural background, language. So here's an infographic that does a little more justice to the point that I'm trying to make. So at Keep Trucking, we make sure we don't forget about the invisible aspects when we're talking about diversity. The second important term is inclusion. A workplace environment that supports a diverse workforce must also have an inclusive culture. This means that each employee should know that their voice will be heard and that they're a valued part of the team. And one last term that I want to talk about is transparent and what it means to us. So I started my career in security and very quickly learned about the notion of security theater. This is where things that appear to make people feel safer aren't necessarily the aspects that actually make them safer. And I feel some of this may apply to diversity and inclusion as well. Here at Keep Trucking, we believe that diversity and inclusion is not a performance. It is not a social media post. It's not a few programs or trainings or lectures or checkboxes. At Keep Trucking, we integrate diversity and inclusion into everything we do. Our products, our marketing, our communications, our meetings. Diversity and inclusion are at the heart of what we do. Let me talk a little bit about our values here at Keep Trucking. Follow through, create trust, seek improvement, advocate for the user, embrace diversity, and be transparent. These values are the operating principles that each individual at Keep Trucking lives by. And it is on this foundation that we achieve our success. When you put all these values together, you essentially get a group of kind professionals who do their best work together to improve our products and bring our users amazing value. And in order to continue living up to these standards, there's some guided effort we make when it comes to growing our teams. So we focus a lot on training our hiring managers. It's not uncommon for hiring managers to not receive any formal training. And whatever they know about hiring often comes from their own experience as candidates, which may have been a bad experience because that hiring manager might not have been trained. And I'm sure you see how this vicious cycle can be created. So at Keep Trucking, we make sure our hiring managers are trained to battle unconscious bias. We make sure to re-emphasize the importance of diverse teams, especially in terms of growth and innovation. We make sure our hiring managers know not to ask questions related to age, disability, sex, sexual orientation, religion, marital status, race, pregnancy, and maternity. During our hiring process, we ensure that we assess our candidates based on our Keep Trucking values. We regularly review job descriptions to make sure biased language is avoided. We require diverse interview panels, And furthermore, at the director and above level positions, we require a 50-50 gender candidate slate. We make sure we stay connected with communities in which we work to drive an inclusive employer brand, use best practices, and recruit diverse talent. I now want to talk a little bit about what we do in our day-to-day work lives to help foster the culture we're so proud of. Here at Keep Trucking, we encourage our team members to be their full selves. This means providing them with the space to do so and cater to individual needs in an inclusive manner. We encourage work-life balance for all. We stay away from restrictive work hours and trust our teams to find their own cadence for doing their best work. This helps individuals with all kinds of needs to be productive, whether it's maternity or paternity needs, whether it's medical needs, disability needs, taking care of the home or your kids, or really just anything for that matter. We make sure we avoid any unnecessary or arbitrary rules that make our teams feel unnecessarily burdened or pressured. We don't have strict work hours. Our teams don't always have to work from the office. There's no dress code. And even when it comes to our core work, our project timelines are bottoms up. This means that engineers working on projects communicate their own estimations. We make an honest effort to try and remove bias from our everyday communication as well. We try to avoid labeling individuals and discuss work or performance instead. To give you an example, this means instead of saying X is a great developer, we'd say X did great work on the Buy Now project. So this approach removes focus from the person and puts it on their work. As a result, the potential for bias and its role in hindering inclusion is greatly reduced. We understand that to have innovation, we need to have diverse teams that have high psychological safety to share ideas and take risks. We are really proud of the culture of innovation at Keep Trucking. We celebrate the fact that some of our best improvements in product have come about as a result of bottoms-up innovation. However, we make sure we continuously keep improving on this process to make sure more and more of these ideas have a good way to flow into planning and eventually execution. One other great way we encourage an inclusive culture is by storytelling. We have our all hands and our tech talks. These hold a lot of value as we get to hear how so many individuals, many we've never met, contribute to our shared goal and drive immense impact. Another forum that I absolutely love is fireside chats at Keep Trucking. Professionals from all sorts of backgrounds talk about their journey, the impact they've had, and the challenges they faced while doing so. There's a very personal level of appreciation for the value of diversity that one gets from hearing these intimate stories. At Keep Trucking, we make sure we foster an environment of psychological safety. I know you've heard me say this word a bunch of times before, but I think this needs its own little slide. This is where everyone knows they're safe in expressing different viewpoints and perspectives, regardless of age, background, or experience level. We don't shy away from being vulnerable. We own up to it and share our own mistakes. This creates an environment where people can learn from each other without inhibition. And most importantly, it helps create an environment where people can speak up. We make sure that there's more than one channel for individuals to express themselves. At Keep Trucking, you can message the CEO, and I can assure you, he will respond. Here at KT, we make sure we encourage each individual to understand that we are all responsible to create and maintain a culture of inclusion. There are a few simple steps that just should be followed. We want to talk to people openly and candidly, ask questions to learn. We want to listen to understand. And where we see a concern, we have to speak up. And if we were in the wrong or made a mistake, we need to own up to it and do better. This brings me to a topic where we need to own up and do better. Women in STEM. So we make sure that our hiring pools are gender balanced. We make sure to create a culture that is inclusive and values psychological safety. And we encourage more women to mentor and tell their success stories. See, me talking to you here, the irony is not lost on me. And this is why we're here. We need to do better. Keep Trucking is a generational company. We're in it for the long run. We want to walk the talk and help create more opportunities for more women to join tech. In Pakistan specifically, we're looking to start internship programs. We want to hold regular talks in universities to close the academia industry gap. We want to sponsor final year projects. We want to hold workshops to teach skills and events for networking and exposure. We want to put in the time and effort into this. We're not thinking short term. The investment we make in building talent, we're going to be here 10 years later to hire this talent. This brings me back to the original question. Is it possible to foster a culture where diversity and inclusion become transparent? Yes, it is. By not performing D&I and integrating it into all our interactions and processes, we've effectively taken all our team members on board, and we're open about where we need to do better. This also allows us to put the process, the machinery, and the performance of D&I in the background, behind the curtains, and just experience its impact in a holistic manner. You see, there's no normal archetype that works here at Keep Trucking. What's normal for us is that a truly diverse group of people do some of their best work here. This doesn't mean we're anywhere near perfect or even satisfied. We still need more representation. We have work to do. I'd encourage you all to come visit us. We're hiring. Thank you. Quickly gonna see if there's any questions.